second before we get started. I want to share something that really matters to me. The stories and ideas that you'll hear on Building the Inner You may be relatable and encouraging, but they're only a starting point. Mental health and emotional health are serious. And while inspiration can be a spark to change, it's often not enough on its own. If something here hits close to home, I encourage you to take that next step, whether it's with connecting with a licensed mental health specialist or therapist, or reaching out to a healthy church community where you feel safe and supported and known. Growth and healing are not meant to be done alone. Thank you.
Wow. I can't believe we're here. People, I just want to do a brief introduction of this guy, Ross Henderson. I remember like when I first met him, we worked at the same company for a while. And you know how like when you meet people, it's just some people just stick out more than others. And not in a negative way by far. But this guy always spoke with confidence, always had an encouraging word. I don't care what was happening. I don't care what deadlines we were dealing with, but he was always positive and always open just to share. And at that time, when I met him, of course, I was new on the team and I was onboarding. I was being incredibly hard on myself because I wasn't succeeding as quickly as I would like. And he encouraged me. And one of the ways he did it was he invited me to be on his LinkedIn show, where he talks about what the labor market looks like. And of course, I was still super nervous because I'm like, really, all of these people are going to be looking at me on the screen. But he helped coach me. He gave me some good ideas around what I could say. And it just built my confidence, man. And I know throughout life, we passed a lot of people. We work at different companies and we meet new people. And some people just sticks in your stay stuck in your mind because they deposited something into you. So Ross Henderson, definitely, just from, spending time with him, an amazing father, husband. I mean, he does everything in that space, professional, amazing, like salesperson. And that's just the beginning. I took a look at his background. I mean, he CEO, entrepreneurial, he got all of it. This guy got a lot of experiences that's there. So today we're going to have the privilege of meeting the man beyond his titles. And that's something that I'm really excited about. So without further ado, my guy, Ross
Boy,
Henderson. How you doing today, man?
I think you need to, under promise, give me a chance to over deliver. But excited to join you, Michael, and definitely a full circle moment. We've known each other for many years, and I appreciate our professional relationship as well as our personal relationship. And I think things that we've shared. And by the way, I've learned a lot from you over the years. Is when you're opening up to someone, the other person has to be open to be receiving the message. And I think when you're talking about that story about when you were sort of newer in your role and you're trying to get your arms around it, and we had a conversation. I was sharing some ideas, some suggestions, some perspective. You were very open to run with it, and so I want to thank you for having that growth mindset back in the day, and that really sort of set the foundation for us to for the relationship that we have as of this moment.
See what I mean? He's already encouraged me and uplifted me already. Appreciate that, man. Absolutely. So I brought a surprise item on the set today. And it's going to be pretty funny, but I just thought I'd bring it. I'm going to just show it, and I just want to see, like, what are your thoughts about this thing right here? I don't know if you remember this thing right here. Do you
Oh
know
yeah.
what is this?
Yeah, well, that was. I think we were having a sort of internal. I don't know if a challenge, but in terms of um, it sort of up leveling our game, and for people who sort of achieved it, that was a great way to recognize it. So I forgot the name of that exact sort of the initiative that we had, but we had fun with it for sure.
Yeah, some kind of raptor. So people
Oh,
like,
Velociraptor
there
for
you
VR
go.
for value reviews.
Value reviews. That's right. So Ross came up with this creative idea, right? Like if we did the value reviews for like all of our accounts, and he just would send these Velociraptors. And that's one way to deposit and encourage somebody is by blessing them. So whenever I see this, you see, I didn't open it because I believe it'll be worth a lot of money one day. But anyway, it's the story behind this that really resonates with me. So thanks again. I still got it. So now I'm not currently doing too many value reviews for companies, but I'm definitely doing value reviews for my family, for my marriage, and it's coming in handy. Sales always give you that dual benefit. Like you can use some of the strategies that normally work on companies on your own self for self development. Thanks again, Rob. You didn't know I was going to pop that out on you.
I did not know that, and there's actually a second part of it. It's not only just sort of like here's this fun little gift for you. It's one of those ones it's stretchy, and it's one like, hey, a lot of times when maybe you have stress or you're working through things, you need that that stress ball. So part of it is actually to deal with challenges.
Mm,
So I'd say, in case of emergency, Michael, break that bad boy open and use it as opposed to just looking at it.
absolutely. The day I do that, I'm going to certainly let you know. Wow. So, hey, I'm just excited to kind of just dive in. I want us to take our time. Um, just from the short time I've known you, I've just heard some extraordinary stories from you. And I always try to encourage people. Sometimes we underrate the experience we have and the things that we go through. I know that when you first dive into a conversation with someone, you typically just, you surface level, trying to understand like what they're navigating. But if you actually take your time to stop and after you ask, how was their day, and actually be present and listen, then you begin to understand one common denominator that we all have internal battles. That's the thing that none of us can escape. It's going to be challenges. Life's going to throw you a curveball. Life's going to throw you in a deep end, and you have to figure out a way to navigate that trouble. So Ross, I don't know what's a good place to start, but if you can kind of start with the challenge and some of the things that you've been engaging with and learning this season in your life.
Um, it's when you reached out to me to chat with you, I paused a little bit, and sort of twofold. One is being able to share some of the challenges that I had and feeling comfortable with it, which I look forward to chatting about in a little bit. But also, I think just as a framing, we have to realize that most of us out there have challenges, have traumas that they've addressed, whether things as a kid, which they really had no control of, but really is influencing them going forward, as well as adults. Some traumas or challenges that were served to you unexpectedly. Sometimes you sort of stepped in it with your eyes wide open, and realize that I think some of the things that I'll share really pale in comparison to significant traumas or challenges that other people have. So I definitely want to put that framework there, um, as well as really going to relationships with the eyes that you view people is like, hey, you don't really, unless you're going to be present and you're going to sort of take that effort and energy to get to know that person, you really don't know what's going on in the background. Some of the challenges that may have. Maybe it's a sick child. Maybe it's some things that occurred in their childhood. It could be, economic stuff that has nothing to do with them, but it, just, where the coin dropped the wrong way for them and they have to sort of navigate those things. Um, so I think in terms of sort of trauma or challenges, the one that I'll chat about, and we'll see where our conversation goes, was actually a near death experience, and this goes back a while ago. I was in my, let's call it mid 20s, and I went to Santa Barbara for the weekend, and I was making my way back to Los Angeles where I lived, and I was going to drop by my parents' house on Sunday evening and drop off some things and drive up there and go to the trunk of my car, and it's about to drop off some stuff, and there's this car that I noticed from like down the hill kind of following me. I started backing in mind, and it turned out to be a lowrider. I was like, oh, hey, let me close this trunk, let me just get in the car there, sit inside, just let these guys sort of turn around the block, go to the cul-de-sac and make the way back down the hill. And that should be cool. And being born and raised in LA, the concept of gangs and things like that was something I was common or comfortable with. It wasn't something that was that new for me. Just that, hey, just there's times to keep a low profile. And so the car went up, passed me again, went down the hill, and I thought, okay, I'm clear. So I went back to the trunk. And next thing I know, comes up this young kid, right? And he had his semi-automatic, no mask on, and gun had a silencer on it, by the way. It's like, uh-oh, game on. And he's like, hey, give me your wallet and keys. And I'm like, okay. And I was familiar with guns growing up. I had experience with them. I've been in sort of environments where people had guns, and so it wasn't too freaked out. I said, this is kind of like a business transaction. So very calmly, and he was a number of feet away. Just gave him my keys and my wallet. Gave it to him. Just, hey, take my stuff. I'm not worried about it. Business transaction. And the kid said, okay, hey, I want you lying down on this pavement right here. I want you to go spread eagle. He goes, if you move in the next minute, you're going to get shot. I'm like, hey, no worries. I put my head aside, just lying there, and still just had my wits about myself. And so I'm waiting there, and I don't hear the chirp of my car alarm. I go, oh, they're not taking my car. And I was kind of
Wow.
happy in this situation. Let's take my wallet, big deal. And so next thing I know, I hear footsteps, and this kid jumps my back, right? Puts a gun in my forehead, and I'm looking to the side, and up comes this veterano, old G gangster, like right out of central casting. And he looks at me, at least the kid, he goes, yeah, that's the narc. This is the guy we've been looking for. And he goes, take him out. And then I was like, uh-oh. And I said, young kid, this might be his initiation because they want him to do the dirt so that he's not going to turn on other things. And at that time, everything went really slow. And the first question that came to me is like, have you had a good life? And I was like, yeah, life's been pretty good so far. And the next question was, well, do you have any regrets? And I paused for a moment, and I'm still like, I do have some regrets. But I said, but I don't have any capital R regrets. Okay. And then I felt this sense of peace. And then finally, it was like, okay, I'm really going to miss my dear friends, my loved ones, and this is kind of like the end of the game. And so I remember the kid, and this, I don't know, it felt like a long time. I was thinking about this. It could have been just seconds. I remember the kid pushing the muzzle into my temple there, and again, sort of like he's sort of jamming it right there. And this one, he just kind of like jumped off. They walked away. They jumped in the car, went down the hill, and done. And so I was just there for a little bit and really freaked out. So when I think about sort of like sort of a traumatic event, one that just really, if you've never faced a true like near death experience, this was it. I've never had one beforehand, and I know for folks who might be listening to this have had that, maybe multiple ones. So maybe I'm not
Hmm.
sharing anything that's special to you. Um,
Wow.
but I think the beyond just kind of a kind of scary, interesting story, it's the journey afterwards where I think maybe where I definitely made some mistakes and maybe have some learnings that folks would find interesting.
So Ross, like if we can slow down just a little bit, I'm glad you're here today. First off, super
Me
scary
too.
story. Well, I couldn't imagine what was going through your mind at that time. So I'm just trying to like, while you're telling this story, I'm trying to envision all of this. So, wow. Is it any way you can share with us a little bit more about, um, outside of the regrets, like what else was going on inside of you? What else were you thinking about at that time?
Um, it really was just those things. It was like just a quick summation of life. That some people say like, hey, just take a look at your life. Like, what's on your tombstone? It was like, what's on your tombstone moment? And so I think that's it. The other one just goes to, maybe tied to that, any regrets, and just maybe think about that. And then finally, just think about the people that you love. So, wasn't thinking about my bank account. I wasn't thinking about a trophy that I had or didn't have. It just came down to people.
Hmm.
And so in some ways, after I had a chance to sort of process it and go through my let's say my journey trying to recover from that and come out better on the other end. A lot of good takeaways as to like what really is important, what counts, and it's very easy to forget those things. And so I try to sort of circle back to that experience as at least at this stage right now as a way to ground myself in terms of what matters.
Wow. So I'm trying to envision as well, I'm thinking about, like, when you walked away from that, like, what did the rest of the evening feel like? What did the next morning feel like? Did it feel like a dream, or like did you have something in your gut? Like, how does that impact somebody to have to go through an experience like that?
It was really weird, for my family and loved ones, very much like there and supportive and hugging and just, saying, hey, we're, so sad that this happened to you and we love you so much. People were just, trying to give me love. And I maxed out. Like I shut down.
Mhm.
I felt like I was just closing into myself. Even these people had the right intentions. Um, I sort of just put up this barrier. And with that, as the days went on, and the weeks went on, I kind of just shut down. I just sort of put like a brick wall up in terms of trying to like deal with that situation, just really trying to address it. Part of it is the idea is like, you're being stoic, like don't show emotion, just like, suck it up. This is a bad event, but don't let it, don't address it. Don't let it bring you down. But I was just really, on edge, definitely with anxiety, at nighttime, not able to sleep well. And then, going, afterwards, and this is, weeks, even months afterwards, going out, late at night, if I saw someone who looked shady, you know, as opposed to just being cool, comfortable, and just going with the flow, like, oh, hey, let me cross the street. Let me be on edge. So really, my head was on a swivel all the time. And I just really lost sort of the flow and a lot of joy in life. Um, and so that went on for a while. And like I said, as opposed to, this old martial arts expression, it's like, you want to drink tea with the pain. I was having nothing to do with it. And I realized I needed to address it. And ultimately, and this might have been like a year afterwards, I
Mhm.
said, hey, I need to speak with someone, and get some therapy who can help me work my way through this. And I think so, maybe, let's call takeaway number one on this experience is, um, don't be alone with it,
Mhm.
and also find people who are qualified to help you work your way through that trauma.
Mhm.
And by say hey, it may be friends and family, but probably not. Are they going to be
Right.
someone who's going to be able to specialize working through your trauma? I mean, whatever that trauma is, it could be other types of trauma. um, trying to white knuckle it is, at least in my case, wasn't worth it. And so I was able to, start working with a therapist and just sort of like unpacking the event, and just sitting with it. Quite frankly, just like, as opposed to just rejecting it, first acknowledging it, sitting with it, putting it in also into context, and slowly, was able to, remove a lot of the sort of that stress and anxiety that I had, begun sort of down that path to get normal. But it definitely, it's something it took even a number of years to just get, just to be comfortable, just, out and about, and really, not worry.
Yeah. So Ross,
Something else that, yeah, I'm sorry, go ahead.
oh, no, 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 sorry. I was just gonna just interject here, or kind of just ask this question, like, how long did it take for you to realize that you needed some help, like a therapist? Like, I'm usually, I don't know about anybody else, but usually I try everything else to try to see, like, before going to a therapist. Like right now, it's kind of positive and trendy now to say, "Hey, I got a therapist I talk to." But years ago, it wasn't that popular. If someone knew you were talking to a therapist, you definitely kept it quiet.
Yeah, well, no, it's a coach. You get with a coach, not therapist.
Oh, there you go.
It might have been a year, and it's just people who are close to me and just, hey, you just don't seem the same.
Mm,
You're just not the same. I didn't feel the same. But it really was people. Going a little bit back to earlier in our conversation, it took me a year before I could really hear other people start indicating, hey, Ross, you need some help here, um, to address it. Beyond the therapy part of it, something that was very helpful. And then actually before the gun incident, I'm a lifelong martial artist. And before the gun incident, I was already training martial arts. So people were saying, well, why didn't you just disarm that gun? And so, one of the things which is different than television, someone has a gun at you from 3, 4 feet away. Doesn't matter how quick you are, you're not going to be able to get that gun. Right? When you look at TV and they put the gun right close to their head, that's a different story. That's why they're stripping the gun. And so I felt very comfortable in terms of my training that I did the right thing. When you're training, hey, someone has a gun and they have distance, you can't get your hands there. Hey, just be cool, relax, give them what they want, walk away, and you don't go there. Um, I continued my martial arts training even to this day, and I think also by continuing training and competing and things like that, being put in stressful environments. Granted, not with someone with a gun, although we do gun defense stuff. I think that also was helpful in terms of my sort of journey of recovery.
mm, awesome. Ross, you mind sharing a little bit of some of the symptoms that others noticed about you that would say, hey, maybe something's toggled off here. Ross, you may need a little help. If you don't mind sharing.
No, of course.
Yeah.
Well, I think like a good example is just going out to grab a bite to eat. So like, hey, I had to have my back against the wall. I could see what's going on. Just just physically, like shoulders up, just tight. Um, those type of things. You know, so quick to respond, snappy. Just things like that. And which, by the way, did it make me good professionally? Did not make me good personally. Did not make me good with my family. Being on edge all the time. And it goes to tied. I mentioned like my sleep went down the tubes, and if you have consistent problems with your sleep, then you're gonna have problems in many different aspects of your life.
Yes.
Um, though it was just I was just sort of there wasn't one huge thing. It was just all these other pieces on an ongoing basis. Just not just always being on edge, always being stressed.
Hmm. Hmm. Did you have any thoughts around, how sometimes something transpires and we always look back, I should have, could have done this. Maybe I should have done that. I remember like as a teen, like if I would get in a fight and didn't quite win, it took like weeks for me to get out of my mind what I should have, could have, would have done and why I
Mhm.
should have done it a certain way. Did you have any regrets in that aspect? Not with the capital R. I like how you framed that before, but just around was your mind like saying, hey, you should have done this. How can you let this happen to you? Like what did that look like?
I mean, very little. I mean, in terms of like I said, the person had like distance on me with the gun. So I was actually cool
Mhm.
as a cucumber. So I felt like very
Okay.
actually good in terms of like in that level of stress and not and being able to sort of have vision, because a lot of times you get that you're looking through a straw. And actually I was seeing thing with a wide vision. But I think that the takeaway and it's sort of things that I do today, and just a little bit more thoughtful at nighttime. I'm not that same. I don't carry that same stress. Obviously, I live here in Las Vegas. I'm out at Strip late
Yeah.
at night and things like that, doing
Yeah.
things, and not a worry. But for things that are, sort of elective, like hey, a simple thing like getting gas, right, or going to the bank. Hey, that let me just wait till the morning. Why do that at nighttime? It's like with my
Yeah.
parents, like I didn't it was like, oh, I was trying to save some time before the week began. Sunday night, just drop off the stuff. Yeah. Hey, that could have waited till Monday, after work, 5, 6 o'clock, as opposed to later on a Sunday. And so I think there's just some things, just a little bit more awareness and going to, concepts of martial arts is, one of the applications of it is even before you go out, think about like, hey, where are you going and why? Should you even be, is this where you even want to go to even to begin with? so
Yeah.
that you avoid that situation. And listen, we're here to live life and embrace it and go out and do things, and for sure. And we don't want to live this life of fear. But at the same time, if there's something where, it's like it's really a minor difference of doing something, during the day, or something which is a little bit smarter, like, or like, which where you're getting your gas, which gas station you're going to.
Hmm.
Just give it a little bit of thought beforehand. Beforehand, I didn't give a thought at all. I'll go
Yeah.
anywhere, anytime. I didn't care. And
Yeah.
now it's like a little takeaway. Um, Another takeaway
Mm.
that I have, and I'm gonna call this sort of
Okay.
a silver lining with this. And people might think it's a little bit dark or morbid. Um, every day, or I try to do every day, I try to imagine my death. So hopefully not in a heavy way, but literally, like, wake up. I like going outside and get fresh air, and I think, okay, hey, what are the sort of the main ways people die? It's like, hey, today, I'm going to have a heart attack. Just gonna, done. If not that, guess what? Cancer just going to town on me right now. There could be some accident,
Hmm.
or it could be similar to what had happened. It's just like wrong place, wrong time. It's going to happen. And as opposed to being fearful of it, saying, okay, this is something that could happen, and so let's be present now. Let's appreciate. Let's be grateful what we got.
That's good.
Let's be present in what we need to do today, because we don't know how it's going to play out. And so from that experience, and this is actually part of the therapy, by the way,
Hmm.
is just sort of getting that just being aware of the finite time that we have here, and that things will occur. Sometimes you
Hmm.
don't expect it,
Hmm.
and just being aware of it. And I find that is quite frankly, sort of a refreshing way to start the day, put things in context, ground me. And so when the smaller things happen during the day, where, hey, got a flat tire, maybe someone's, you had a problem in a call with a client, whatever it is, something with your kids, you have that in context.
Yes. Wow. That you just said a whole lot. Wow. It's a similar thing, Ross. You reminded me of something that I would do. And it, like you said, when I share this with people, I love how you like unraveled it. You don't want to sound morbid, but the truth is no one's promised tomorrow. You're not promised to be here tomorrow. And sometimes that's a great way to, like if you jump into like an ice bath, a way to like jolt you into like being present in the today. Cause there's so many I don't know about you, but I could have so many thoughts, past, present, and future. And I'm trying to figure out which realm I want to navigate in. And it's hard to quiet those voices so you can be present. I'm seeing this relate to a lot of the generation that's coming up now too. It's hard for them to be in the moment and like focus for a considerable amount of time. So I just wanted to say I love how you said that, because if we can't be grateful for where we are like right now, I heard someone before say like that's why the present is called a present. Like we need to receive that gift and start here because we can't control tomorrow. You remember that time like um, when it became crazy viral when they always would bring up and talk about like focus on what you can control. Like don't
Mhm.
worry about what you can't control. But for some reason, because we hang out and we're in the things that and around the things that we can't control, it's so easy not to focus on that. But it's true wisdom around like not focusing on that. Like you can't control it. Let's look at what we can control. There was something else you mentioned too, which is just flat out wisdom and safety. You mentioned how you would just get up and go outside, didn't even take a second thought about it. If it's midnight, if it's late, if it's dark, um, after I got married, my wife had those instincts, and I couldn't quite catch on right away to like, why don't you want me to go? I feel like I want to go outside and run right now. Why do you want me to wait, until, the sun is out? Or why do you want me to like, wear bright clothes during that time? Like she was just exercising wisdom, like, because the world is pretty crazy. Like you never know what's going to happen
Mhm.
sometimes. So, I think being paranoid is a moot point at this point because really it's really that crazy. So
Mhm.
Ross, like I while you were talking too, I just kept thinking around. I love what you dropped about martial arts. And I was wondering, is it any other nuggets you can kind of give us that that helped you navigate that traumatic experience you went through a little bit? Did it bring some healing or give you anything else that was helpful?
I think one of the big takeaways with the martial arts actually, and it ties to the point you just made about being present. I struggle with that on the daily. It's, hey,
Yeah.
what am I thinking about? What am I craving from what I missed in the past? What am I
Yeah. Yeah.
desiring in the future? Got to get in the present. And one of the things that was very helpful for me, at least with martial arts, is when I would, sort of knot the belt and bow in to the dojo or the studio. Boom! That's where I was at. What's the expression? Like, nothing sort of gets you in the present, like when a punch is coming to your face. Um, but the same thing, I train yoga too. It's the same thing whenever I go to studio, go to class. It gives me it's an environment that really is supportive of you being present in the moment. So I'd say for people out there, whatever your thing is, okay, it doesn't have to be those things. Whatever your thing is, if there's something that you can do with some consistency and ongoing basis that really puts you into the present, that's very helpful. And so that was something that was helpful to me. But I, Michael, as you were chatting there, I was wondering, are there any practices that you have that maybe I can use, or the folks who are listening who can use, in terms of getting into the present?
Wow, that's a great question. The first thing that come to mind for me is it was a breakthrough moment for me, Ross. I was going through just challenging time. It's especially right now, even in the season that I'm in. I mean, it's uncomfortable, it's inconvenient, and we always say, "Yo, those are some great environments where you can grow in." And get some strength and get some perseverance. And of course, we all want that, but very few wants to have to go through that. But I remember one particular season, I was going through something, and I like running. I'm a runner, so nobody usually wakes up in the mornings and just decide, "Hey, I'm gonna be a runner." And it's a rarity. I had one member on my sales team mention this. She said, "You never see anybody smiling when they run." So somehow running found me. It started with walking, it started sprinting, and then it started with just long distance running. Um, one thing that one breakthrough moment for me that brought was, no matter what I was going through, something was happening mentally for me. It wasn't the first run, it wasn't the second. You mentioned something about consistency too, Ross. So it took some time.
Mhm.
But while I was doing that, I totally forgot about all of these other things that was going on. I mean, it's like, you know how in the wintertime, we know that well here in Illinois, and when it's snow on the windshield, and you finally get to a temperature where it's melting and you cleaning your windshield. I would have those type of experiences. Things would be so crisp and clear. So I would take notes because it would be questions that I would have that about life, about my past. I would see things clearer from a different perspective. I'm still going through some things that's being uncovered. The way that I perceived my childhood, like you mentioned
Mhm.
earlier, things that I went through, I didn't understand clearly, so I didn't know how to navigate that in a healthy way, and it was always kind of like a thorn in my side until I had those moments of exercise. So I guess, and having a consistency at doing that. When I noticed how it took my mind off and how I felt way better afterwards, I'm like, okay, hold on, stop. Let me pause for a minute. Something is going on inside of my head when I exercise that's actually giving me some relief. So today, like in the morning when I get up and I'm like, I don't want to get up and run, I think about what it does for me and what it has done for me. Getting up and running, no, my breath rhythm, it takes a while before my heart rate comes down, and it's hard. Running can be hard. But when I think about the feelings I get because I'm taking care of myself physically, it motivates me to continue on. So that's just one thing that I thought about. Like, I know you already understand the importance of that because I love hearing your martial art experience, and I know that takes exercise even before you start, fighting. I know it's a lot of training, but for sure, that's one rhythm and one thing going forward here on out that I'm never taking away from my rhythm because it's
Hmm.
so
Yeah, and I think, to the point that having that thing that puts you in the present, having something that is physical is key. It's that mind body connection. It's like that's unlocking those endorphins. It's obviously it's whatever takes you present, but if you can tie it to something physical and something that's all obviously authentic to you, I think that's a sort of a key part of the equation of you know being present, but also by being present, that helps you sort of work you through your way through traumas. Whether, like I said, even the story I shared was that, so that follow home robbery. But hey, don't worry, I have a laundry list of other traumas that need some help, as we kind of all
yeah.
do. And so
Yep.
doing that is, it just helps. Like, I love the analogy, sort of cleaning that windshield, getting that perspective. And it's the same view, but when you're all this junk on the windshield, boy, it's not a good view. Once you get able to clean it out, it's like, oh, maybe that is all right.
Wow. So hey, I have a question for you, Ross. I was trying to figure out what would be some questions, a couple questions I can ask that would really help resonate with people that are listening. And just wanted to ask you, like right now, like if someone was listening to you right now, they kind of feel stuck because they had a similar experience that you had, the one you mentioned, and of course, like you said, we have unmentionables because we all go through something. Um, but like, what would you tell them from your own like challenges and trauma that you've had? Like maybe a first action they can take in the next 24 hours.
There is a wealth of resources, mental health resources, people who are trained and specialized to help you. And this is something that a few years ago, pre-COVID, really wasn't as much there. I look at therapy now. It's one, it's very easy, accessible to do on an online basis. Of course, you can do it in person. So, one, if you have the sort of ability or resources, see if you can get some professional help. Let people, like I said, don't try to recreate the wheel. Or go to people who know how to handle that. I'd say that would be the first thing. If you're not doing that, a second thing is, find a some sort of physical practice. There's, something that's going to be a sort of a sacred and consistent time and space for you to work on you, and give that opportunity just for you to sort of like, hey, look, here's all this baggage I'm carrying, that you can put it down at the door, go for, lace up your shoes, right, bow into the dojo, and that's your present time. And it's going to sort of unlock give you that better perspective, but also help bring you to the present. So I think those are two things that stand out.
Hmm.
Maybe a third one
Mm,
is taking a step back and just and think about, like, hey, how am I being with the relationships that matter? And this can be my loved ones, my family, my clients, my peers. And in my current state, am I bringing my best self to them?
mm, mm.
And maybe use that as a little bit of inspiration to address it, because I'll tell you, it's really easy to, like, hey, say it doesn't exist. Like
Right.
in my story, like, I went for a year. No, no, that's not me. That doesn't shake me.
Yeah. Yeah.
And just, give the grace to say, hey, what, there's some challenges here I'm dealing with. Maybe I'm not bringing my best self. Let me find someone to help me here.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, Ross. And I concur with everything that he said. But yeah, mental health is serious. I mean, it's on the rise. It continues to get worse and worse each year. There's a lot of contributing factors, but I just want you to know you're not the only one. People that are listening that's wrestling with something, that have something that you have to deal with, navigate, where you feel like life threw you off the deep end. You're not the only one. If you ever see someone that looks successful, like Ross, I would always talk about, like, it's great to get on social media and scroll through all of the highlights. I said, but remember, like, everybody has a shadow moment. Everybody has a time where they felt like giving up or things didn't connect. And most of the people, you're looking at their successes, just the highlights, but you really don't understand about the traumas they went through. And I think that's what we try to do here on Building the Inner You is just let's explore that. Let's have people that's willing to open up a little bit, share a little bit what's behind the curtain around what they're going through. And I just want you to know that. And mental health is serious. If you had a close friend telling you to take a look at what therapy would look like, I would encourage you to do so. I totally get it. I wasn't a big fan of it, but I personally, you know, had some time with a therapist just to revisit some things in my childhood so I can have a better perception on it. It's kind of like when a bumblebee stings you, Ross. You can't see where the stinger is at all. It's kind of hidden. And over time, you don't see it, but you can still feel it. But what
Hmm.
happens is when you start talking about it, there is I love looking at quotes and reading books, but there's a scripture, Russ, that I hold on to tightly, especially in this season. It says, confessing your faults one to another that you may be healed. And it's something about confessing some of those things and talking about it with somebody that helps set you free. So please, you have to talk to somebody about the thoughts that you're having and take this thing serious. Ross, is there anything else that you would like to share before we get into something fun?
Uh, we're in it together. We're
Yep.
we're we're in it together, people.
Yep.
Let's not carry the load ourselves.
So Ross, thanks, man. I came up with this. I'm not going to do a rapid fire, but I came up with something that I think we were at a sales conference together, and I started hearing all of these martial art movies that you used to watch, right? So I used to be into martial arts as well. I don't know if my trivia skills are as strong as yours, but let's just start naming martial arts movies. Some of the greatest ones, the ones that you can remember, and let's see how far we can go. Like, this is off the cuff. I don't have any pre-planned. I don't have anything written down. Let's just kind of go and see what comes out. Okay. Why don't you kick us off?
Okay. Well, the classic Bruce Lee, Enter the Dragon.
Totally thinking about that one. Okay. Jim Cotta.
I'm going OG Kung Fu Theater, Master of the Flying Guillotine.
Gosh. Okay. I'm gonna go with No Retreat, No Surrender.
Um, I guess I'm going to call Pulp Fiction as a type of martial arts film
Okay.
because
Okay.
it's woven in there.
No, no, no. Absolutely. I mean, I can't help but to mention the Karate Kid.
Hmm. Um, Not a movie, but the Cobra Kai series.
Okay. All right. I had a whole list of these one day I was just thinking about. My gosh. Ah, you win. I'm totally I have like man, I have images, I have ninja images, but I just can't think of anymore, man. Chuck Norris movies, I just can't even right now.
Yeah, I should.
Oh, the
Was that he
Octagon.
wasn't well, the Octagon, but Chuck Norris also was a number of the Bruce Lee movie. So,
Okay.
but I have to give a hat tip. This is going to be best of the best, and
Okay,
one of
okay.
my instructors is Master Phil Bree, who was one of the stars of that. So, but yeah, but it's all good times.
No, awesome. Wow. Okay. Well, our time is pretty much up, Ross. Pleasure having you, man. I gotta have you again. I'm sure some other things we can talk about. I'm encourage you too. Some of the things you shared. If you haven't already started writing a book or even doing a podcast, man, you definitely have some things to say that can help a lot of people. So I'm totally grateful that I got you in my life, man. And um, that's it.
Well, I appreciate you, and this was a fun conversation.
Yep, love it. All right, Ross. Have a great day, man.